dance? Do you want to dance?
Hello, hello, hello. Yes, the YouTube thing just isn't working. I'll explain here in a moment. Welcome to Office Hours, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Paul Berserker01 Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender here at the AstroPub. And yeah, welcome to the Office Hours. This is a live stream we do every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern. We usually talk for a couple of hours, talk about Star Citizen news, lore, Squadron 42 updates, all sorts of stuff. So it's a live stream. You may come hang out, AMA, you can talk and chat and all that sort of things. If you're watching this after the fact on YouTube, this was not broadcast to YouTube because Restream is just straight up not working. So I'm restreaming it just to Twitch for right now because I can't stream to both. So that's why. So a lot of those people running. No, I've had also an unbelievably shitty couple of days. Lots of shitty couple of days. This week has been me recovering from a 24-hour stream, and then on top of that, and then on top of that, and then on top of that. So that's been my week this week, and it's about to get even worse. Because my school wants to do fun team building activities. So the kids don't have to go to school, but I have to deal with fun team building activities, which is great. Come have fun team building activities while your grades are slowly piling up because you haven't had enough time to finish grading because you couldn't grade while you were proctoring tests that the state demanded you do. Yay. Any of that 4 months there, Shiori. It wasn't the STAR test, but it was a College Board test. Yeah, College Board. The SAT and such. 3 to 4 is a couple. All right, we're done. I don't expect being called out like that. I will push this to YouTube after the fact, though. So it'll be, I will push it as a video, download it and push it to the video at some point, so. I did already explain that, Verdun, that, yeah, YouTube's not working because, just Streamlabs, or they just decided not to do, so. Well, that sucks, yeah, sorry, Mason. So I agree, I am here to de-stress a little bit myself. I just spent the entire day trying, or like I got home dealing with family issues. So, you know, that's not stressful at all. On top of having to deal with kids panicking because today is the end of the marking period. So they're all panicking because half of my students have after school activities. And if they do not do, if they don't pass their classes, then they can't participate in after school activities. And most of them haven't cared to participate over the last couple of days, last couple of weeks. And now they're panicking because they've got a 30 and they need to get a 70 and they can't do it, but they're going to panic and bother me about it anyways, even though I'm like, yo, you just accept the fate. It's not going to happen. Yeah. So, and then, you know, stressful if you screw up, your license is revoked testing the day before that. So it's been a couple of days. And then I got home. I don't mean to like just dump, but I'm just trying to explain. I tried to, was the little time I had before going live, I tried to clip the clips for Citcon that, you know, because the CIG still hasn't posted anything about it from the Twitch thing, but every program I used was clipping the wrong times. So I spent about an hour basically doing nothing, just completely failing. So I did find somebody who had uploaded to YouTube all this stuff, and it's got a big made by the community thing. So I'm gonna, it's not that I don't want to shout people out. I just rather not have to rely on other people to get some of these things done. But, you know, the universe said, fuck you, Paul. So that's just kind of where we're at right now. Now, what did I learn? This is kind of learned I'm impatient. Yeah. All right. So normally this is streamed to Twitch and YouTube, but the universe has decided that it is shit on everyone's day today. So no, I can't let VIPs give shoutouts. Did we get a raid? No one gives any shoutouts. But thank you, Skyguard, for that Twitch Prime sub. I didn't see that. How you doing, buddy? Yeah, I didn't see it. If you says fuck you, then you say what hole and pivot your mentality to enjoy it. I'm just going to do my best to use what resources I have and just be very grateful to the gentleman who put all these clips together. Though, you know, we'll see. Bright side, starting tomorrow, I will be streaming Darktide. So if you are interested in Darktide, which is a co-op survival shooter in the vein of Left 4 Dead, made by the same people who made Vermintide and Vermintide 2, set in the 40k universe instead of the fantasy universe for Warhammer, then you should join our stream tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern. I'll be playing with Loken Plays and probably some other people, and we'll be doing some Persian. Hey, Mythological Grizz, how you doing? You probably were. I wish Beastmen were better represented in 30K. You mean 40K? I'm gonna wear my glasses for today because again, I just need my eyes need to. So today we're gonna talk a little bit about what we learned from Squadron about Squadron 42 from the clips that we got from Citcon. And then we're also going to learn about Squadron 42's monthly report, because we're going to read the monthly report and put it out there. Many of you may have also noticed that I re-released the monthly report for Star Citizen. That's because I'm an idiot, and I went on autopilot and published it right before Citcon. So of course nobody watched it, because they were busy consuming everything else. So I took that time to rework the thumbnail, because I was using some other thumbnails that I have seen reference to, so I kind of stole some of that style, borrowed some of that style, for possibly the new kind of clips ones that I'm going to be doing, and the capsules, and I released it just today. So, and it's already doing much better than the previous one was. So if you missed out on the monthly report in Squadron for Star Citizen, go check it out. There's a lot of stuff, including the AI, a lot more in-depth discussion on the AI tech that we're going to talk about here today, as well as restraints, missions regarding rescue, and so a bunch of other stuff too. That was in the monthly report. Lots of ships too. In the 31st millennium, there is only sadness in the verse. Yes. Odd question, what happened to the YouTube stream? Restream decided not to work. So it's only going to be, can I just get I'm just going to make, because this is going to happen. This is just going to be one of those things that happens constantly. So I'm just going to do this. I'm going to make a command. Make a, yeah, there we go. Group. Event. Okay. No, you're like the seventh person who's asked, so I'm gonna keep this up here now. There we go. There you go. I actually recently reached out to Super Mac Bros, so I understand why he released his monthly report for August in October, because he's got a daughter, and so life kind of kicked him in the nuts. Because I actually reached out to Board Gamer and to Super Mac Bros to see if they could come on and just talk Citcon with us. For Captain's Table, and Board Gamer may or may not be able to make it, but Ryan was basically like, no, can't do it. So. Yeah, technical fuckery killed the YouTube stream. How you doing, Colonel Mortimer? Oh, right, so, I'm probably going to sit down and do this as an actual video rather than doing it as like a capsule, because I want to like walk with you and talk with you about this whole thing first, and then we'll get into it. And maybe I can actually download the fucking clips and make it work. But it says I can download. I don't think I can download this. Did I hear CIG made the sprint longer? Which sprint longer? You can't just like... Oh, the spirit. Oh, I think you said sprint. My bad. That just let me put in the downloads here. I think that's all it did. Whatever. I'll figure it out eventually. Exclamation point YouTube. Crystal King. Thank you. That's why I'm not able to stream YouTube. All right, so let's talk about what we learned this Citizen-Con. We're not going to really look at the other stuff because the panels and such, because those require their own real videos. But I think this is the one that was that most people fell asleep during because it was a 2-hour rambling video with Richard Tyre and Chris Roberts, which is fine. But no, I don't think most people can sit through that and sift through that. I had a hard time, and I was, you know, I do this stuff partially for a living. And Minstrel, doing good. All right, so let's take a look at this video. So, the hell? Oh, right. You see my dusty ass bad cable management. All right. All right, so this I can do. All right. So this was the kind of interaction mode. A lot of this stuff seems pretty easy. So this is how you're going to interact with objects in the future. They're getting rid of the inner thought system. They're getting rid of the inner thought system. If you are not celebrating, you should be celebrating, because that's something that people have been complaining about forever. And I would like to tell you right now that the reason why the inner thought system exists, and this is a direct quote from Chris, is because he thought it was a cool idea, similar to the BBC show Sherlock, which everyone thinks is garbage. The inner thought system kind of makes sense for conversations, and it makes sense for Squadron. It doesn't make a lot of sense for interaction with everything else. Sherlock was garbage. All right. So here's the thing. This is all this is. This is the new inner thought system. This is the new interaction system. You ping, and then you get little notes of things that are important. You look at them, and you see that you can interact with them. You look at them, and you can hold down F, and you can pick them up. Grab, and I think Chris's vision is to make every single thing in this room interactable, be able to grab and move them around. Yeah, the one with Bilbo Baggins and Benedict Cumberbatch, yes. That's the extent of this, is like you hold down F and you can place things down. And it works just like it does now, only you don't have to really deal with inner thought system at all. All right. And this is the next one, which is the ping system. So this is active ping. So this is similar to what you do with passive scanning versus active scanning with ships. An active scan will ping through walls. And I know a lot of people are like, I don't like the idea of being able to be seen through walls with wall hacks. But here's the thing. A, they've mentioned that they want it to only happen with specific helmets or specific equipment equipped, and B, everyone else can wall hack you too. So if you wall hack, they can find you because it's like sonar. Active sonar, you can detect that sonar and you can see where it came from. So. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. This is okay. All right, this is fine. Woosah. It makes for interesting experiences in general, I think. And you can still see like a delay for things. You can activate different locations. It gives you a little bit of a heads up on where to go. But they will also be able to see you. But it makes setting a PvP hard. It's fine for Squad 42, but not in PU. Not necessarily. You can still ambush if people aren't paying attention, if they're not careful. All right, so this is the Uncharted Citizen. So this is the new system that they're working on for mantles and like jump mantles and grapples and stuff like that, and ledge grabs and that kind of thing. They said that the inertia system is not ready yet. They haven't fully worked out the inertia system, but they have started this kind of, boom. And then ladders. This is the other thing they're talking about. If you've been following our monthly report, last month they had a huge expose on ladders and how you can climb up ladders, you can stop, turn around while you're looking at ladders, and you can use your guns on ladders. So you can now pull out a gun while you're climbing and wield it around if you need to. And this was all in Squadron, so that's why they're showing it off here. So this is part of the new maneuverability, mobility system that they're implementing. Paul, question, Paul, is Space Station located at Pyro? Yes, the big space station they showed off was definitely located in Pyro. I don't think we're going to see wall jumps or wall runs, but this is really cool. Being able to jump off and then grapple in the back. Yeah, we're not going to have Titanfall movement. It's the Star Citizen's not that. And then you can also jump onto ladders halfway through. As long as you get close to them, you'll stick to them. And then there's a lot of question what this is. They were kind of cheeky about it, but I'm pretty certain that this is a refinery of some kind, possibly the Shubin mining station we've seen in the past. It might be the underground facility as well. A lot of people are thinking that this is the new underground facility. All right. So this is awesome. We've heard a lot about push-pull system in the past. It's the reason why your hand tractor beam exists. A lot of people don't realize that the goal is with the resource system plus the spaceship kind of integration, like they turn your spacesuit into a spaceship, which they've already started to do, and like specializations for various spacesuits. That is part of the system for zero-G movement. One thing you have to understand is that Star Citizen was never meant to be as arcadey as it is now. It's still going to be fairly arcadey. It's still going to take a lot of liberties with its realism because, first of all, and I want to emphasize this before anyone freaks out, Star Citizen isn't realistic in any way, shape, or form. Space fighters would not exist under our current understanding of how space combat would work. Relativistic weapons and all sorts of crazy stuff is a lot more complicated and probably a lot boring, a lot more boring than space dogfights. So at its core, the very basic premise of how Star Citizen is going to function with space dogfighting means that Star Citizen isn't realistic. So if you understand that, if you come from that understanding, then you understand that Star Citizen is not supposed to be a sim. It never was supposed to be a sim. So, with that being in mind, it's a life simulator. If you look at those old or there's something like that, not life simulator, immersive sim. It's an immersive sim, is what it is. That's the term. Like Deus Ex, the original Deus Ex is considered an immersive sim, and that's kind of the genre that Chris Roberts has always played around in. So, with that being said, this is all part of making space deadly. You are going to need the proper equipment to go EVA. You can no longer just step off the pad and then cruise around forever. You're going to need the right suit or the right armor or the right gear to be able to maneuver in space, and you will have a limited amount of fuel to do so. I believe they said something to the effect of the current suits in game will all have a limited amount of fuel so that you can do emergency EVA stuff, but they will not last forever like they do currently. You will need an exterior pack of some kind, or a separate undersuit similar to how we have the Caldera suits, I can't remember the names of them. The two, the Pembroke and the N something, Nikolov or whatever. Novikov, yeah. Those suits are specialist suits. They were the first specialist suits they designed. We actually know from the monthly report that we're getting a medical armor, which they've talked about in the past. That's coming out in probably 3.18. So they're getting another specialist armor, which we haven't seen before, either in 3.18 or 3.19, because they're currently working on it pretty close, and like mentioned alongside other subscriber items they're working on currently. So we are going to be getting a medical armor as another example of a specialist armor, probably something that contains specialist containers for medicine or other things like that. Brings new meaning to About Death of the Spaceman. Question, do you think some suits will have solar charge depleted multi-tool batteries? Yes, I think that you'll also probably have a combat backpack where you can take weapon, empty magazines of for energy weapons and stick them in the backpack and kind of fast charge them for combat in the future. There'll be stuff like that. What features would a medical armor have other than helmet can scan players medically? Probably also additional reserves of medicines. So instead of having to have it in different canisters, you could probably like reload a med gun or something to that effect. If they want to go crazy, they could easily make it so that you have a built-in medical gun and scanner. So your armor, you can just touch the touch, or you can point at your patient and use, beams. Beam citizen, embrace the beams. You can beam them some health. So, yeah, one of the stretch goals was the BB-12 man maneuvering unit for EVA, which is designed to be like there's actually some concept of it, which is designed to be like a chest piece or like a backpack that you put onto your character. I think it's a chest piece because it kind of wraps around your body. It's like a belt and then like shoulder pads, so you have the ability to use some EVA stuff. Finger guns, yeah. Pew! Ma. It gives a whole new meaning to healing touch, right? So, as a result, EVA is going to be a very specialized armor set, and having the right tools for the job are important. So you're going to have less amounts of fuel, and you're probably also going to have energy reserves that you need to keep your life support systems on. So you have fuel, which is your suit's EVA thrusters, plus power, which will keep your life support units online, the heating and cooling that keeps you from dying. Because it's very fucking cold and very fucking hot in space. BDG, exclamation point YouTube, and that'll explain why. There you go. I'm not gonna have, I don't want to have to explain it because you're like the 17th person who's come in here and asked the question, so. And someone's gonna go back in the YouTube VOD when I upload this to YouTube and count how many times I've actually said it. Yeah, it's just a shitty, it's a technical issue. It's one technical issue on top of a lot of other bad shit that's happened, so. Effectively, be glad that I'm even streaming, because I didn't even know if I was going to be able to stream today because of technical issues, so. All right, let's continue back. So this is important because now you have hands. So this is what they've talked about with push-pull. We've heard about it being off and on the roadmap for a long time. It is effectively in the game, which is nice. They talked about how you can move your head back and forth, and your body wouldn't move with it. So they've disconnected the head with the body movements for push-pull and movement in general, so you don't have to deal with that as much. Now, it looks a little vertigo-ish, so I apologize that. Not HC vertigo, but you'll see here in a moment. Getting a little weird head spinny thing. As though when they go third person, you'll see why. Spider crawl, spider crawl. And then you can leap like that. Notice how he's moving and pushing himself along the surface by just pushing off, and then he doesn't even have to touch the surface anymore because he is now going forward. And here's another example as they get closer to the actual dish. I call it the NASA mode because it just makes sense. It's how NASA astronauts tend to maneuver in space as well. They don't tend to stand up like we do in space right now in Star Citizen. Yeah, they've been working a lot on polishing. I made the joke that this is the thing you show off to your significant other to show how tough you are. Look, I can hold myself up with one hand. I'm so strong. But yeah, the point is that you can move around and your body will maneuver as you do that. And you can see kind of moving forward. Get close to the cupolas here. They didn't go with mag boots because they tried that and this physics got wonky with it, so they decided not to use mag boots. Then the cut. It's not mag hands, really. And that's the thing. A lot of people are like, oh, what about, but this is like you have magnetized hands. I can almost guarantee you that you will have inertia. So there'll be handholds you can grab onto, but if you're going too fast, you can injure your arms trying to grab onto those handholds. And if it's just a flat surface like you saw, on the panels, if you try to stop yourself by holding onto the surface, you may bounce off because your inertia is too, like you can't grapple it. They just don't have that system in the game yet. Nobody look up. It's not mag hands. Again, that's just how it's represented in game right now. Sticky hands. So The reason why the mag boots didn't work was because you'd have to determine what is metal and what isn't metal. And that would become a complicated, detailed process that they'd have to work over all of the different surface areas and a bunch of other things. And it did some weird physics issues because it used to be in the game, and it did some weird physics issues. They decided they were going to remove it with a simulated mode that was effectively the same, which we haven't heard about in a while, but we did know they were going to do push-pull mechanics. Would you call it grabby hands? Wasn't that literally a thing they had before? Grabby hands? Yeah, I thought so. Just for once, I'd like to be in the company of people whose ideal mental stimuli playing Guess What Fingers Bend, or is it Guess What Fingers Bend? Yeah. There were some other issues as well. There's some other issues as well. Generally speaking, we haven't heard from them. So that would be the one thing that we would need to learn more about, is what the fuck happened to mag boots or grav boots or whatever with this new thing. But the answer for right now is it doesn't matter that much, because the point is to make space more dangerous. And I think that may also be a gameplay decision to remove mag boots, because they're easy mode. If you're on an exterior of a ship, you just clamp down mag boots and now you can't get them removed, you know? And I do believe, actually, that was the other thing, was what if someone comes by and shoots you? Do you just stick there? Do you get moved off? What's the force that you need to get moved off? And that would effectively mean that you would just float off from the slightest hit, those sorts of things. So I think that was also another issue. There was legitimately boots in the game at one point. What's going to happen to pads on stations? They're going to get rid of most of them. You're likely not going to have any pads on stations except for maybe emergency pads of some kind, or like quick fill up. But I think even then, CIG wants to move get as many pads removed from the game as possible, because they prefer hangars, because they can hide and transition stuff in hangars a lot better. So, but the point of this is that this is in Squadron 42 right now. It's going to be in Star Citizen at some point, likely next year, based off of what they've talked about. At least they're planning on having it next year. That is probably the biggest change right here. All right. This was the most confusing creation that they did. Like, I get it, you have an activation. Like, cool. It's a hover trolley. I guess they wanted to show off hover tech a little bit, like with the pod, but that's what that is. It's just a hover cart. Yeah, that would be the other issue, is having mag boots means you could have people clamped to the exterior of a hull just firing weapons without any inertia or any kind of change. And again, inertia isn't in the game yet. They want something they want to add. Working hover tech that hasn't exploded yet. Well, this one specifically is a prisoner pod. These are the ones you see inside the Cutlass Blues. These are the ones that will eventually be the main way that you transport bounties. Hey, Logan, how you doing? Yeah, but you'd have to simulate that hammer. If you simulate the firing of it and then moving backwards, you'd have to simulate that, which is a pain in the ass with animations and other things as well. Thank you for giving that shout out there. I guess it works now. How you doing, Loken? I'm doing good. I'm tired, and I had a kind of shitty couple days, but I'm good otherwise. We're just kind of going over these sections because I know you and I both were just like, blah, blah, blah. All right. So this is the other one that's important to kind of point out, which is the new MFDs and the new HUD. The gist of this is that most of this is gone now. This is all old. And the MFDs are still new, but you will be able to customize your HUD based off of what kind of helmet you're using. And depending on the manufacturers and stuff like that. This is the old new, not the new. Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to some Dark Tide. That's been one thing. It's been like, yes, I got that going for me, which is nice. What is new is old, and what is old is new. Something like that. Have you recovered from your 24-hour stream? No, I have not. I tried to stick around, but it passed out while watching. Yeah, it's fine. I have not recovered yet. I'm still feeling a little wimpy at times. I've got a bitchin' headache for the last couple of days, but I've been hydrating and stuff like that, so I'm fine. So will you not have the ship HUD if you're not wearing a helmet? You won't be able to customize the HUD unless you have a helmet. I believe the way it's going to work is that you have to have a specific type of helmet to get specific types of access. HUD is interesting because it's an area if EVE Online did well. They allow you to customize almost every aspect of the HUD, and they might differ for PvP, mining, and hauling and mining. I think CIG wants to do something similar with MFDs, but also with the helmet you're wearing, so that you can have, you have to go purchase specific types of equipment to use for specific types of options, which makes a lot of sense because CIG is all about trying to force players to optimize with in-game decisions, being prepared for the right outcome, instead of being able to just see everything on the fly. But that was the other thing they said, Fishy, was that it should, and emphasis on should, save, your presets should be saved on your ship and on your decisions automatically. So no longer do you have to set up after every wipe. It'll automatically be saved on your whatever ship you're on because of persistence. That's one of the reasons why they needed persistence for that sort of thing. Or you don't have to have a helmet on the fly. It would be nice to wear civilians in the emergency. They want to move as many things as they can from the HUD to the MFDs, is what they've said. And then have specific options for specific things based off of the helmet you're using and the ship you're flying. Because, like, as they said, it doesn't make a lot of sense for a fighter to have HUD options for a hauler, but it doesn't make a lot of sense for, like, a freelancer to have the same kind of HUD as a gladius. So they're going to have them individually customized and slightly different. Yes, MFDs are all working on the new building blocks. Was the key. That's what they said. Hey, Victoria. Oh, it's going to continue to be messed up. And this is Quantum Boost. So for those of you who don't know, effectively, you point towards a target and you spool up your quantum and you set it to boost and you go into Quantum Boost. And as you do so, you can basically go to any place you can see in, I believe, 50K, not 50K, 50,000K, 50,000 kilometer jumps in boost, which is about an interplanetary is kind of set. So you don't have to quantum to every moon or planet. You can do faster jumps between different planets or different like locations. And this is the other one that they didn't say anything. It's basically short-range super cruise. It's the old cruise mode, is what it is. But yes, it's super cruise. It's very typical of CIG to try to do absolutely everything to be unique and different, and then effectively steal something from Elite Dangerous. Because, you know, Elite Dangerous has been doing this for 40, 50 years now. You're probably going to do something like that. Creatively inspired by Elite Dangerous. Well, you can only do so many things certain ways. Like, what's the old saying? Nothing new. There's nothing new under the sun. Everyone has tried everything. You're going to get to the points where the most efficient ways are all the same ways, which is why WAS and D is the fucking FPS keys, because they're the FPS keys forever, because they're efficient and let you use more of other things. So. They just work. So, asteroid bases. This is something they've talked about in the past. A lot of people are theorizing that these are going to be used similar to UGFs. They'll basically be UGFs but on asteroids. Now, does this mean, oh, they're building asteroid bases? No, it's probably just literally a scene dressing. It probably is nothing. It's probably a hollow asteroid. Let's be honest here. That's likely not anything in-game other than scenery. They're not going to copy Hard Space Shipbreakers. The reason why is because Hard Space Shipbreakers is built very specifically with like voxel stuff in mind. Star Citizen's going to get pretty close to that, though, where you remove components and then you use those components, you set those components aside to sell them, and then you remove the hull plating, and then you remove the superstructure, which is exactly what they've been talking about for a while, and it's what they did in Hard Space Shipbreakers. I'm so glad they decided to put in a super cruise in, though. Yeah. I mean, they get some things right. Just play just the time gate things to hell and back via the most boring gameplay imaginable. I disagree on the boring stuff, but I think that has a lot more to do with what you come into play with Star Citizen. And I also think that a lot of the stuff which is tedious because it isn't finished yet or it isn't fleshed out yet. Miners mine, pick up their stuff, and take Quantanium to get refined in a pretty relatively routine fashion. But it still has some, it has some downtime because you have to go wait for Quantanium to be done, but it doesn't mean you're just stopping. You still have to take other time breaks. You can't just constantly mine. You have to go back, get your stuff refined, and come back to what you were doing. It doesn't mean you have to wait for that Quantanium to be done, but you won't be able to access that Quantanium for however many hours it's going to take to refine. So, as a result, you are breaking from mining, but you're still doing other things which are engaging. And that's the think of that as the basis for everything that we're going to do in Star Citizen. Everything in the game is going to have that sort of loop. Yes, you will not be able to play FPS combat forever. Eventually, you're going to get hurt, and you're going to need to go get help, or run out of ammo, and need to go restock. But it's not going to be a tedious, oh, I got to go restock now. It's like, cool, I got to go restock. I got to go get some food. I got to go repair my armor because it's busted. I got to go rest a little bit because that sort of thing. It'll be a stop, refresh, take a breather, go use the bathroom, grab something to eat IRL, those sorts of things. That's effectively what they're trying to nail down. So do you think about the point that Mike made, that he was talking about player-controlled space stations? Do you think that'll happen? No. Was that Salty Mike or Darklaw? I disagree. I disagree entirely on the player-built space stations. Player-controlled stations we've had from the very beginning, that idea. I think you're going to have org bases as alternative social hubs, but they're going to be at landing zones. You could also build them in bases, but they're not going to be as bases, but you're not going to be as protected. Logistics is going to be a big part of the player expansion into the universe. Exactly. And it's also important to remember that all of these factors are not going to be player only like they are now. Eventually, they'll get the AI to function the way they're supposed to with the quanta and the virtual AI and all that kind of stuff. They're going to get all that stuff into the game. It's not a matter of if, but when. It could take a year. It could take 12 years. We don't know. But CIG seems to be pretty confident it's going to take a year, which means probably 2 years. Sorry, CIG. You're terrible at time management for that sort of thing. Yeah, you'll find what's called Gold Horizon stations, which have existed in the lore for a long time. There was this very ambitious company that went to go set up stations in various locations all over the verse. In fact, Ruin Station is a Gold Horizon station. In lore, as of right now, it is. So what we saw with the exterior of Ruin Station is what future Gold Horizon stations probably will look like if they kept that lore in. And if they do, they're fucking huge. Which makes sense. They were originally built in places which were completely speculative, where they had no idea if they could work or not, but they were designed to be a jumping off point. Like it's a flying city to help terraform planets. But because they were giant leaps in the dark, a lot of them fucked up, and most of them are now being used by outlaws. So, yeah, you could eventually take over Gold Horizon stations and do that. What's my prediction about what Tony Z is trying to squeeze into 318 last minute? It was mentioned in regards to cargo refactor. So I'm guessing something to do with cargo refactor. I'd love to see cargo missions be squeezed in, but we'll see. Possibly found derelict stations that require a large sum of money and supplies to get back to this functional. Effectively, yeah. Tony is the head. I don't know. He's the fucking titles. He's in charge of all of the back-end services like Quanta and Virtual AI. He does all of the simulation for the economy and such. Is the brief testing period of 318 normal? What do you mean brief testing period? I hope it's expanding commodities, making commodities more controlled by quantum. That'd be great, but we'll see. Yeah, that's not atypical. They've done it in the past, especially with brand new stuff. Like they've done in the past, they've done Evocati runs with like different flight models. There's an entire one where they just tested flight models for Evocati, and that was it. And it was the new flight model, but the old patch, and they didn't even release the new patch then. So I think it was like 3.12 or something like that, or 3.6. I remember it was one of the fall patches. Do I think 318 will make it to ISC? Seems doubtful. ISC, you mean IAE? IAE is not happening until Thanksgiving, so it's still got a month. It's almost got 2 months to get there, which is slightly longer than it usually takes. And on top of that, it's going to make it to IAE because CIG has said that 318 is the IAE patch. And they can't just magic up a new IAE patch out of their ass. Everything, all of the assets, all of the ships are in 318. So the only way you can get access, the only way you can do 318 or the IAE is with 318. So 318's coming out of IAE, whether it's ready or not. Yeah, which is why I don't like that. I don't like A, it's crunch, which I don't like, and B, it's going to be a dumpster fire. As per what they said to Evos, they could sort everything as needed, so why 3 hours only? $318 PS, $318 salvage? Probably not. I think everything's coming in 318. I don't think they're going to start piecemealing out 318. I think they'll just release it broken. Why only 3 hours? They've done that in the past. Limited windows. Because they don't need to run servers. Every time they run Evocati, they have to run servers. And if they have to spool up servers, it costs them money. And if they just want to test a certain small aspect for a couple of hours to try to get a window of players, enough players to come in and test it, they'll do that because they don't want to waste more money than they actually have to have those servers. So they'll have those servers up, they'll buy those servers or rent those servers for a certain number of hours and then shut them down. That's why. It's a cost efficiency thing. It's not Wild Vols, but thank you for coming in. All right. So let's continue looking at some of these. So this is the controversial one. Minimaps. So they're using already internal images of the ships to make minimaps function. So yeah, minimaps are coming. Now, what does this mean? I do not believe it means that we're going to see mini-maps on every single location everywhere. You're not going to get mini-maps of every single remote, desolate outpost that no one's been to, but suddenly you have the fucking, like, all of the updated ideas of where it is. I think it's much more likely we're going to see mini-maps for places like stations, places like ships, and places like landing zones. And otherwise, you won't have much, if anything, unless you ping and scan the region, then it'll populate that area. This is that first part. You can see text on there. So they did add some text, but they're using the system that already exists for inside the stuff. They're not building up a brand new system for it, was their point. They're trying to use the same similar systems that they already have in ready to go. And some of these, all right, some of those letters are literally on the fucking levels. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if the port lettering there under that section, I wouldn't be surprised if they wrote port on the ground there for the ships, because some of the ships have that. So we should have had a place on every city and station with Jack similar to Cyberpunk 77, where you plug in, download the local map. I mean, not necessarily need to. The issue is more, can they get the tech working right now, is what they're trying to work on. And this is showing proof of concept that they can get the tech working with what they have now, and they're still working out the details of how it will look when they actually start this stuff. Like, I don't think there's a hangar listed there, though. But yeah, a lot of these things may actually have, like, written down stuff. And there's utility hangar, which they don't know. That's the people told me there's no hangar for the Argo MPUV on the Idris. I'm sorry, what? What the fuck do you think that is? It's the hangar for Steve. That hangar is designed for the MPUV. which is why the MPUV comes with an MPUV comes with all of the larger ships, all the capital ships, because they have utility hangars for the MPUV. Feels good to be right about something. It does. It does. But I've heard so many people tell me that I'm wrong on this factor in the past. It's like, There's a lot of leaks too, yeah. It's okay, we can talk about leaks. I don't really care that much. Yeah, so they need PES to add anything else into the game. Pretty much PES and server meshing are required for anything else to be added that is significant. We won't be able to get any kind of gameplay additions and larger ships to the game so you can have A, more players, and B, less strain on the servers. So you need that kind of stuff. Leaks can be horrible problems. They're tasty though. Leaks are very tasty. They're very good if you saute them in butter. Mwah. You put them into some casseroles. They're great. Leek soup. This is a very long way of showing that they're kind of like the tech's working. So what can we take away from this? The tech for mini-maps is being worked on. They're experimenting with it. They have an idea. And they're happy so far with what they have. That doesn't mean it won't change shortly. All right, so this is what I've been talking about on the monthly reports for the last 6 months. We've talked about this. We've gone over this multiple times, and I think it was August that they really first talked about the trait system, which they'll show up here in a moment. But the idea of being able to search and that sort of thing, these are the things that they've been talking about for quite a while in terms of adding flavor to the universe. So this is actually really cool. And for anybody who's like, well, why is the AI looking so good now and it's so derpy in game? One, this is not in Star Citizen. This is not live in Star Citizen, nor will it be live until 4.0 is out at the minimum. So we will not see this AI system at all. And Richard gets a lot of shit for this, but he's right. They threw out the entirety of the old AI system and rebuilt it from scratch. It still uses the same architecture, but they've rebuilt the whole system to make sure it works much more fluidly, because the system they had built didn't work well. It was not scalable. So they wanted to be able to scale it while it was working for Squadron and Star Citizen at the same time. So they did things like the token system. They did things like the random dice rolls for characteristics, and the trait system as a whole, which you can bolt on as many traits as you want to make an AI do whatever you want it to do, which is something they had been talking about for a while, but they needed to be more fluid. So this is an example of AI in Squadron, which will make it to Star Citizen, but it isn't in Star Citizen yet. So why is the AI in Star Citizen derpy? Well, they're showing off is pretty cool, is because the AI system in Star Citizen is a dead-end technology, which they have yet to replace. There's no point in replacing it until AI can actually function in game better, which won't happen until 4.0 comes out. Now, you notice the little like things popping up? Those are visibility markers. So they actually literally have a visibility kind of bar that they do for being able to see different examples, seeing what's going on. Yes, AI is bad because those things exist, but also because the system they're using is older. The AI system, like if they use the AI system they have now with, PES and server meshing, it would be better, but it wouldn't be as intelligent as this, is the answer. This is a different change in that entirety. Yes, each NPC will have different stats, but it's not going to be stats in the same way as D&D. It's going to be stats in the way of, like, traits. So, let's just say you want to have an AI that is aggressive and will use heavy weapons or even just go into melee mode when they get close. So you give them the trait Pusher and Berserker. Those two traits will set that NPC to push close as possible to the player or to whoever they're fighting. And the Berserker will have them go in using melee weapons or heavy close range weapons. Where maybe you decide you want to have a sniper. So you have a shooter who is going to go for range. So I think I forgot the name of it, the trait of it, but it's like a trait. It's like hang back or loiterer or something like that. And so there's these traits which you can bolt on together onto anything. You can think of them as little tags that they can slap onto every AI that you want them to. This means every encounter you have in the same location in Squadron, but also if you want to go to the same bunker or the same mission type in Star Citizen, they will never be the same AI. They'll be different rolled AI. Sentry, thank you. So that's Sentry, and yeah, you know, they'll hang back, they'll shoot, they won't ever run out of, they'll never stop shooting at you, but they'll also hang back. And these traits can also be attached to bosses in Squadron 42 and for like raid bosses and stuff like that, so that you have a much more difficult time because they will never like their reload animations will, or they'll have more ammo or more health, they'll be able to heal themselves more likely, that kind of thing. That's how that works. So what I'm trying to say is the AI system in Star Citizen now is bad because of tick rate, but it also would never be as intelligent as this because it just didn't work. The AI system that they've rebuilt from scratch for Squadron will use a new system, which is what they're showing off here, but it's the same basic tech. It's the same foundation, different structure. And so each of these balls represents an interactable where they can go and pick up and they can see. So if they can see those interactables, they'll go around and try to hit all of these different little balls to kind of see that. Exactly. That's another trait I think they've already talked about is medical. So you have, instead of having AI that are super aggressive or violent, they'll also be more passive and try to heal their buddies. Or buff their buddies. They said these AI are working together, feeding each other info. Yes, and you can hear them talk back and forth with the wild lines. Also, the thing they didn't talk about is you will be able to dress up as an enemy and get past guards if you don't get too close. So if you are wearing the right armor, you can get past those past inspections as long as you don't go right up to them, because they'll notice you if you get too close. Hitman vibes, yeah. And so they've been working on this system so they can make AI scary. Now you see, boom, boom, combat. Notice how that bar went up? That bar is their notification bar. Low, medium, high, and then combat. They say, okay, I can see you. I think I can see you. I can definitely see something. I see something. It's an enemy. Shoot it. And so it's like that, like little bit of a lag time, a little bit of a reaction time for AI to go, wait, boom, which is why they need better dedicated game servers, because they need to be a little bit snappier in their decision making. About dressing as guards, there's an issue. What will happen for Siege Force and boss armor, for example? You'll get shot at. And if you're too close to the enemies, they will notice that you are, in fact, not a friendly. That's the thing. You have to, you have to get close to them. So this is like an actual example with in-game with the player and in-game AI. Obviously, the animations aren't quite smoothed in there, and that's one of the things they talked about a lot in the monthly reports, is they're trying to smooth out this animation to make it a lot smoother in terms of their reactions. I like how Chris Roberts mentioned from Software in relation to how difficult enemies fights. Chris Roberts has been a From Software fan since before Star Citizen was even an idea. Like a lot of the ideas of Death of a Spaceman and like the difficulty and like what people call the tedium of Star Citizen comes from Dark Souls. Death of a Spaceman comes from Dark Souls. That whole idea is Dark Souls idea. He's been cribbing off of From Software's notes for 10 years. Yeah. If you look up Death of a Spaceman, you'll see him mention Demon Souls. Not even Dark Souls, Demon Souls as an inspiration, which is Dark Souls 1. Okay, so this is the example right here. See, they're coming up, and you'll see the little titles pop up here shortly. So you see Pusher. Pusher is always going to go up forward. You see Strafer, which will constantly move, but not be, but not get up close. They'll try to keep some distance and constantly move, but they aren't going to. They're going to stay at a distance. And then Defenders will stay back behind cover and fire. This is just one tag that they can add to AI to make them more intelligent. That doesn't mean they won't take cover, like Strafer will take cover, but Pusher is always out in the open, always moving towards the target, and then Strafer is going to move as they can. Defenders will move up more cautiously as they're going. So here's an example of that same thing here. You have AI, he fires to get their attention, they fire at him. He peeks around, he sees the Pusher coming up, there's a Defender back there. There's a Strafer right there as well, moves around. If he looks over here, there's a Pusher kind of right in front of him, right there. See? And that's entirely randomly rolled. Those traits are entirely randomly rolled based off of the encounter. They also have something called a token system where each NPC can spend a token to do an action. And if they don't have the tokens to do that action, they will default to whatever their default traits are. So if you give a group of 5 NPCs 20 tokens, they can all just go absolutely ham on the ammo and just butcher you down with gunfire or grenades. But if they only have 1 token, then the Pusher will be more just be aggressive rather than and firing rather than firing. And then the Defenders will probably not fire as much. They'll try to find cover first and then fire. So they have a default system that happens without the tokens, and then they have a token that they can add that can give each one of those AIs more things to do, which will then be determined. How they spend those tokens will be determined on other traits. So it's a flexible system that they can use for whatever they want to, and they can randomize it too if they want to. No, it's nothing crazy. It's not new tech. This tech has been around for a long time. It's just in the implementation of Star Citizen, it's pretty cool. Yeah, and it's a way of balancing difficulty levels. When you're playing in things like Squadron 42, it's difficulty levels. I like Dark Souls, but among Souls likes, I prefer Little Witch Nobeta, which, what can I say? Lolly Thor is entertaining. I have no idea what that means. Difficulty levels in Squadron 42 confirmed. Yeah, probably. I mean, it was mentioned in the monthly report that this was how they'll deal with difficulty levels. And the brutal thing is that bosses do not have, they have their own specific trait, which is like trigger. Triggerman or something like that. They have some like shooter, I think is the trait, where they always shoot. They don't need a trait or a token. They can always fire at you. So the second they notice you, they can fire at you. They don't have to call for cover and stuff like that. Kill a trait. Yeah. I really want to see what CIG provided with dialogues. Games like Halo had interesting dialogues and reactions to the death of their fellow comrades. I'm sure they'll come up with some interesting stuff. See, the Strafer's still trying to move, trying to get in the thing, and then another pusher shows up. This also means that, for instance, they can add traits like coward or braver or brave, where if there's a certain number of, like if a certain percentage of their enemies are dead, they'll run away. And brave meaning like they'll stay and fight till the end and that kind of thing. So that's the flexibility of the trait system, is that they can kind of just adapt it for whatever they want to, not just with combat, but non-combat as well. Like traders and just regular haulers, so you can intimidate haulers if you're a pirate to back down and give in because they want to save their own skin. They'll be more than willing to give you their cargo. Yeah, Vandal trait, Angie. And he's down. All right. So, new Mobiglass. What can we see? Aegis Gladius, standard loadout, named and nominal thing. I don't think this is anything. This I don't think is any indication of anything right now. It's just a placeholder stuff. But you see primary objectives over here with to the right. You can't see my marker. The notifications down below that. The external, you see the radiations, the pressure, the atmosphere, the exterior temperature, and the gravity. So they're at 1.1 G. Exterior temperature is 27 degrees Celsius, so it's a bit toasty in the station. Atmosphere is safe to breathe. Pressure is 101 kilopascals, which I believe is what is it called? Sea level pressure. And the radiation is 6.19 millisieverts, which is MSV, which is, I think, pretty close to background radiation. Maybe a little bit higher, because millisieverts are pretty... let me look up the details for that. Millisieverts. So it's about 2 times the normal background radiation. The naturally occurring background radiation is the main source of exposure for most people. Levels typically range from 1.5 to 3.5 millisieverts per year, but can be more than 50 millisieverts per year. Remote retrieval. Now, I don't know what that means. I do not think that's anything but placeholder information. I imagine that when you hit remote retrieval, it means that you will, in Squadron at least, your call for help or whatever, or maybe be able to have the ship fly to you. I don't know if that's going to be a Star Citizen thing, but maybe just a Squadron thing. A bug out option, yeah. Then we have Saddle Ball Replay tonight. Voyager Greg, hottest deals. Welcome aboard from Noah White. UE military tech only? Possibly. And you also have a ship chat, which will be your chat options there for Star Citizen as well. And then this is your mission briefing. To give you an understanding of like what's going on, and even have like after action reports, that sort of thing. You can see the like status injures. His left leg is injured. So effectively, a lot of what Star Citizen is, the basis of Star Citizen is going to be overhauled over the next 2 years. The mobiGlas is going to completely reworked. The HUD is going to get reworked in your ships as well as your MFDs. The way that AI is going to function is going to drastically be overhauled. The way you move from grabbing onto things and running and grappling and climbing, as well as EVA is going to be completely overhauled, and how you interact and look at things is going to be different as well. Yes, they mentioned the star map, and I'm going to tell you all right now because, you know, here's the secret. The star map's been worked on for the last 6 to 8 months. It's been in the month report multiple times. They've actually talked about adding the new star map. You'll be able to see gas clouds inside the star map itself, so you'll be able to see stellar phenomena inside the new map. So. The point being, a lot of this stuff isn't brand new. A lot of this stuff has been mentioned multiple times in the monthly reports. And I don't want to be that guy, but I'm going to be that guy. Read the fucking monthly reports. If you were at all super surprised by this, you need to read the monthly reports. If you were really into the development, you want to do that. And if you can't, guess what? I read them for you. That's right. I read the entirety of the monthly reports. I put them up every month. They're on my channel. So you all here should be following me on YouTube, youtube.com/TheAstroPub live.
Good news, everyone.
I already read the monthly report for Star Citizen, and I'm going to read the monthly report for Squadron 42 right now. I'm gonna get some water though. So. You see the awesome looking room with the computer servers submerged in liquid that under facility? Look great, yeah.
Drugs.
All right. I'm going to get some water. When I come back, we'll do some Squadron 42 monthly report. So we'll learn a little bit more about what they have done on top of the CitizenCon reveals. Maybe a little more details there. So you're going to spam that, I know. We'll be right back. Mute this if you are watching this on YouTube after the fact. Mute it. Trust me. When I come back, you can unmute it.
It was at this moment that he knew he fucked up.
Distress bacon. 2 words. Distress bacon. Drugs.
Everybody and his dog calls himself an outlaw.
I'm pilot. I like money. I'm just an old-fashioned cowboy.
Everybody and his dog calls himself an outlaw.
He does well. You have coin.
It was at this moment that he knew
Well.
he fucked up.
Bounty hunting is a complicated profession.
I'm just an old-fashioned cowboy.
Weapons free, y'all.
Bounty hunting is a complicated profession. Bounty hunting is a complicated profession. Bounty hunting is a complicated profession. Fishing as well. If you have
Everybody in his dog calls himself
out.
Weapons free, y'all.
Out.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Everybody and his dog calls himself an outlaw.
All right, I'm killing it. No fun. Fun detected. Yeah. All right. Thank you for subscribing for 2 months there, BGD. All right. All right. Y'all ready for this? I'm doing an ad real quick. When we come back from the ad, we'll get this started. We're going to do the Squadron 42 read through. I'm going to go sit down and do this Squadron 42 monthly report. Let's see how bad it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not too long. So. Redeemer's a gunship, yeah, not a dropship. We good to go? All right. Starting the recording. This is a capsule, so I'm not going to respond to you chat that much, but let's get started. Hello and welcome to another Office Hours capsule. That's right, capsule. This is a small section of the Office Hours stream where we talk about Star Citizen news and updates and theory crafting and other stuff like that. But join us live on Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern at our Office Hours live stream, usually on Twitch and on YouTube. This week was a little wonky because something wasn't working for the dual stream, so I just did it on YouTube, or just did it on Twitch. But the full YouTube... the full stream will be up on YouTube after the fact. This is a little tiny section of that, so you have an idea of what we've talked about, and for your own convenience, but to come join us live on stream to ask questions and discuss what we've talked about. But I've also been doing these monthly reports for quite a while now because people have asked me to read them out. Well, I started reading them out on stream, and people asked me to turn them into videos so that people could watch them later. So, as always, please let me know in the comments below if this is helpful for you. If you're actually listening to this, that helps me out a lot to know that I am, in fact, still doing this, because if people want me to do it, I won't do it. I enjoy it, but as always, it's important to gauge your reaction as well. And if you did enjoy this and you are interested in hearing all about the monthly reports from Star Citizen and Squadron 42 every month, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the little bell icon for more to keep updated on all of these when they exactly drop. And before I get started, I do want to mention this is not a summary. Kind of obvious by the length, but this is not a summary. Not that summaries are bad, but that summaries in general are unreliable because you're listening to someone else's interpretation of the information, which is fine, but they'll often leave out information that may be vital to you or might be interesting, but never gets said because it's their own interpretation. So this is me reading through the entire thing, adding a little bit of my own context and my own questions or my own interpretation, but reading the whole thing for you so you get the entire context of what's being said. So if you really, really want the full context, I suggest watching it. You're watching this video, but reading it yourself. The link will be in the description for you to read it after the fact. With that all being said, let's start with the September monthly report for Squadron 42. All right. So, Squadron 42 monthly report, September 2022. AI content. Throughout September, AI content team continued to work on the vendor and patron behaviors that will allow AI characters to serve, carry, and consume food and drink. This complex set of behaviors is progressing well and will add impressive fidelity to several areas of the game. They also got the new medical behavior working on the Idris. Okay, that's interesting. New medical behavior, as well as serve, carry, and consume food. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Alongside behaviors, progress was made on two important usables. The first being used in opening crates, inspecting the contents, and lifting items in and out. The second is for a tactile chair that allows AI characters to get in and out by rotating with their hands. Okay. Is that supposed to be tactical chair? Think of like a office chair maybe? I don't know. They also presented the first version of a simulated bed sheet that allows NPCs to sleep under a blanket. Call Kotaku. They're talking about bed sheets again. Everyone seems really pleased with the results, so we can hope to build on this foundation. Many thanks to the tech animation team for their support with this AI content. Progress was made with the Quartermaster 2, which involved new mocap, updating poses, polishing animations, and prototyping dynamic conversations. AI features. AI features. Last month, the AI features team continued to develop the traits that will allow specialization of NPC behaviors in specific levels and scenarios. This included implementing the Sentry trait, which forces players to use characters to use defensive tactics and never leave cover unless compromised. This will be particularly useful for NPCs equipped with sniper rifles and rocket launchers. The Reckless trait, which will be the opposite, forcing character to adopt more aggressive tactics and never use cover options. This will be utilized by close combat berserker enemy types. There are also aggressive and cautious traits that adopt varying weights of cover use. So, if you watched Citcon, that is an additional add-on to that system. You saw pushers, defenders, and strafers. These are additional traits that will be added to those already individual traits. So every AI can have multiple traits attached to their character. They're not just one-note machines, which will have their behavior act slightly differently. It's not revolutionary tech. That kind of tech's been around for a while, but for Star Citizen, it's a very flexible and interesting system because it'll work for Squadron 42 and Star Citizen at the same time. So make sure you check those those videos out for that. I'll have a video talking about some of those separately. I've done one for the stream here, but I'll be doing a separate video specifically talking about those sections and what they mean for the game a little bit later. But it won't be 2 hours. It'll be much shorter than Chris Robertson and Richard talking. All right. They also implemented usables that allow for context-specific search animations to be played around certain level features. For example, vents over railings and around crates. This adds life to NPC investigations that give them more opportunity to use the environment to search along with increasing tension for hunted players. AI features also implemented several new features for combat with the Van Duel, including gameplay for when the player is in close combat and knocked down. Players will now have a limited window to move out of the way before a synchronized execution animation is played. We're returning to Star Souls. Not Soul Citizen. Yeah, Star Souls, which is something that I've been joking about for a long time. And obviously, Chris has mentioned multiple times he's a big fan of From Software games, so I wouldn't be surprised if you saw some brutal melee behavior from the Van Duel, which is fairly similar to Souls-like games. Right. This really sells the Van Duel as a serious threat, where split-second decision-making is important to win the fight against the powerful and aggressive foe. If the player successfully dodges the Van Duel attack, it gives a short breathing period during which player can mount a counter-offensive. Combat rolls! Combat rolling around the map. Perception work continued, with the team supporting stealth gameplay loop by allowing the player to wear specific clothing to disguise themselves in different environments. The designers can configure which clothing works for each faction and locations so that successful disguise combines both player actions and the configuration of the NPCs in the environment. The perception meter for detecting the player as a foe is then influenced by this parameter, giving a player more time to sneak into areas, especially when at a distance from enemies. To support the scaling of perception ranges and times, new wild lines were integrated to signal this new gameplay. For example, a suspicious enemy will challenge the player if their disguise or behavior isn't convincing. On the animation side, AI features progressed with human-female combat animations. They also continued blocking out specific Van Duel animations, including the execution animations mentioned above. All right, AI tech. AI tech. Last month, AI Tech extended the functionality of navigation links, which involved finishing their work on ladder extenders. Now NPCs are able to use and traverse ladders in a similar way to players. They also extended navigation links for doors to allow NPCs to use the entire width of doors, used for wider doors or gaps in general, and enabled collision avoidance while traversing. They extended the way the NPCs interact with closed doors too. The aim was to have AI correctly understand which door panels should be interacted with during traversal. To achieve this, the routing functionality inside the usable system was improved to use entity links. For locomotion, they worked on reducing foot sliding and leg phase blending. This involved reducing foot sliding during stop animations by matching the leg's phase, adding support for selecting the best animation option based on the leg phase, and extending the system to implement the use of sharp turns for walking. On the internal subsumption editor, the team addressed usability feedback from the designers, and bug fixing continued. They also began extending the tool to manage the editing of master graphs, which has never been possible in the external tool. Work was also done to extend 2 different areas of AI perception functionality. The first not only allows NPCs inside ship cockpits to target on-foot enemies not visible on radar, but also allows NPCs on the ground to visually track large objects such as vehicles and engage in ground-to-flight combat. So AI is now able to track you on the ground, shoot at you from ships, and also on the ground shoot at you if you're flying a ship or in a vehicle. The second is audio perception. Previously, NPCs could hear any sound if they were at the right distance from it. Now, the hearing component and audio map use the volume of the sound at its source and then calculate the strength of the audio received by the listener. This is used inside the perception component to influence the perception meter based on how strongly the sound is perceived. The new extension allows for the designers to create multiple curves to describe the influence of different audio semantics. For example, explosions have a different influence than footsteps. Each audio stimulus also has a different maximum value it can push the perception meter to. Finally, for AI tech, the idle system was extended to allow designers to set up different weights in the idle sets available to different usables. This allows them to better customize which idle set should be prevalent during the selection based on the environment they're creating. So, a lot of different changes to how AI perceive the universe and how they can target players and various differential modes. This is all copy-pasted. All this stuff is copy-pasted from the Star Citizen monthly report as well. But as we saw with Citcon, this stuff is primarily focused in Squadron right now, which is why you'll see it mostly here. AI vehicles. Vehicle AI and vehicle features work together on AI targeting things other than vehicles, such as turrets, components, and stations. This, combined with special behaviors for strafing runs, allows the AI to perform attack runs on stations. They also worked on a system AI for Chapter 1, which involves a large number of AI attacking capital ships in coordinated waves. This result required various improvements and fixes, with the team improving the system that allows NPCs to pick splines and fly along during attack runs. Animation. Animation-wise, animation worked on the ladder locomotion for both players and AI, including dodging. They continued to work on EVA and zero-G, improving the feel and functionality. Gadgets were further developed too, including the deployable shield and Galson weapons, which includes melee weapons for Galsons. For AI, progress was made on the Vandal-related gameplay, with the current focus on stealth gameplay sections and enemy executions of the player. Interactions with non-sliding chairs, crates, rummaging, vendors, vending machines, datapads, and other life behavior sets progressed too. Development for the female Spec Ops continued, with the female combatants close to implementation. For facial animation, the team continued to work on scene-specific animations with named cast characters. Mocap and on-set facial services were also provided to the narrative team as they continued to flesh out the combat and story needs of the campaign. All right, very good. So, getting a lot more, I don't know if that AI, the Vandal stuff was also interactions with non-sliding chairs, crates, rummaging, vendors, vending machines, datapads, and other life behavior. I don't know if that also was Vandal related or just individual, but plus obviously female Spec Ops is not mentioned for Vandal. So lots of animation stuff for AI and some player stuff. All right. I am not a tech priest. I do not hear the whispers of the machine spirits. I am not a Starfleet engineer. I do not know how to turn rocks into replicators. I am not a forerunner engineer. I cannot disassemble and reassemble a vehicle out of rote memory because I was genetically programmed to do so. I am but a teacher and a content creator on the internet. I am not a programmer, an engine programmer at all, and barely have any programming experience of my own. So when it comes to the engine, most of this is going to be Greek to me. It's going to be completely unrecognizable. So if you do understand things, and I'm looking at you, Ghost, if you do understand what's going on and what's being said, please do interpret what is being said. Read the tea leaves to figure out what is important from this and what isn't, because I don't know. With that being said, let's read the engine. Engine. In September, the raw physics... Okay, I don't know why it said the raw, because it's the RWI there. In September, the physics team refactored the Ray World intersection, RWI, verification. Requests are now verified when Q. The RWI API now also supports the name parameter idiom to prevent further mishaps in its use. An option was added to RWI that allows sphere tracing against distance fields. Moreover, changes were done in the level export code to enable the reliable attachment of roped to other entities on the client. Okay. On the renderer, more progress was made in the Gen 12 transition. I get some of those words. Cube map backdrops, light beams, geom caches, silhouette rendering, water volumes, water reflections, and water caustics were ported. Various editor tools now run with Gen 12 as well, such as the character editor and mannequin. That's good. It's good. So a lot of stuff is being run on Gen 12. It sounds like most stuff is being run on Gen 12. Last month's support for transient graphics passes saw further adaptation uptake, with lots more passes now using it. Furthermore, support for transient compute and copy clear passes was added, and work to support transient scene render passes was currently underway. Additionally, memory tracking for graphics passes was added. Gen 12 now also supports texture anisotropy, I think that's how it is. I can't even spell it. Supports texture anisotropy overrides, as well as the global MIP bias. Material resources binding was refactored, and the alpha blending support was added to the hologram shader. Lastly, various optimizations were done to avoid redundant clears on render targets and updates on pass resources. The Gen 12 port of volumetric cloud rendering was completed. On the core engine, the team added support for syscalls in CIG profile, and frame time is now included in peak detection CIG trace events. More work was being done to enable P4K files to be memory mappable, which will allow for faster engine startup. As an optimization, the team was able to remove entity-based network wake-ups. So, we have a Gen 12 stuff, effectively, is what we're seeing. All right, features, gameplay. Squadron 42 feature team continued with tasks for the armory, enabling weapons to be delivered to different locations. It now also has its own set of first select animations when the player interacts with a weapon for the first time. For the crane feature, devs used inverse kinematics to link players' hands and joysticks so they animate together. Did they say crane? Cranes confirmed? Good to know. They also added a functionality for design such as snapping and locking. Popping and locking now. Okay. Further progress was made on the new MOBA glass, with the team finishing the personal message app and implementing the first part of Mission Manager app to show mission briefings, which we saw in Squadron 42. Our show, Citcon. Gameplay story. Last month, Gameplay Story held a mocap shoot that captured a variety of data for several late-game scenes. Once processed, this data will allow the scenes to function well in-game. A new scene was also created by reusing existing wildlines, which will allow the player to speak to a medic and be healed by them if required. Okay. Finally, the Gameplay Story exploration was done on the mess hall scenes to make them functional with AI animations so that all characters enter and leave smoothly. In September, graphics and VFX programming. In September, the graphics team completed work on edge highlight rendering code in support of FPS scanning of occluded objects, which is what we saw in Citcon. This involved creating a new render to texture layer used exclusively for augmented reality rendering, which will be used for all AR/in-world UI rendering going forward. The shader used for AR rendering was also upgraded to support tessellization/smoothing, triplanar texture mapping, and dynamic multiscale texturing. Got some of that. At the request of the UI team, the graphics team investigated the possibility of using D3D/Vulkan's anti-aliased line rendering for rendering wireframes on UI meshes. However, they decided to go with a shader-based approach using tessellization hardware instead due to performance issues in the drivers. The team also began looking to improving unifying all resource stream systems with the goal of simplifying code that allowing more intelligent use of available memory so they can adapt the different scenarios across the game. Work on the ultra-high resolution screenshot output was completed for the marketing team also. Need that for players, CIG. Need that for players, especially for Squadron. Level design. Last month, the flight team progressed towards getting a large part of the game fully playable with functioning systems and mechanics, with a focus on a seamless experience. Following on from previous month's reports, September saw an expanded work on this beyond the first third of the game. So, the flight team and the FPS team and the social team have been working on this. They're basically on a point where they want to be able to play the game fully playable. All of the things work from beginning to end for all of the game. Not necessarily done with finished assets, but having everything achievable. Meaning you can do all of the missions, you can do all of the objectives in the mission, all of the missions objectives will spawn properly, all of that sort of thing. So you can play the game even in a jank state from beginning to end in a completionist way, rather than just playing it with a bunch of placeholder assets and like white boxes and replace me balls and stuff, which they've been able to do for a while. So it looks better and feels better. So they can start getting a handle on, is the game fun? Because a lot of people don't realize that games are made after they're built, which sounds weird, but you can sit there and build a game and then sit down and try to play it, and it's not fun at all. So you have to go back and rework it and that kind of stuff. That's usually what beta is for once you get all the systems in place. So that is what they're trying to get to. They're pushing, that's we can interpret that as they're pushing towards beta because they want to get all of those systems ready so they can start testing it for play testing as a full game rather than individual experiences in like missions. All right. Social team focused on several chapters, including the ongoing scene work on the Idris and Stanton interstitials. This involved implementation, addressing feedback, and handshaking NPCs from scenes into behaviors. They also started to shift assignments for the Idris 80-person crew, including deck crew, bridge crew, engineers, and off-duty personnel. They also kicked off tasks for some cross-discipline chapters, including FPS, flight, and social. Level design made good progress on social-related content, with a majority of their assigned scenes being ready for implementation. It's always essential to see the scene playing out in situ so we can review and assess what additional work could be required. Level design team. So yeah, basically what they're doing is does it make sense? Is it fun? And does it flow well? Because a lot of people, and I'm just gonna do this in the office section. A lot of people don't realize that at its core, there are more, I'll put it this way, there are more games that have been built that have never released than released games. Because of that nature. You can spend years working on something and realizing it's just not fun. That's what happened with Titan, the MMO that was supposed to replace World of Warcraft, which eventually became Overwatch and Overwatch 2. That was completely scrapped because it just wasn't fun. Even they spent hours and hours of work into it. It just didn't work well. So they scrapped it. That's what they're doing right now. They're trying to push to a point where they can determine if it's fun and what they need to do to change it to make it fun and also to make it flow well so that you don't feel like there's weird hang-ups in the story. The story seems to be diverting into places it doesn't need to go to, that sort of thing. So everything needs to be tight, well thought out, well, have implement, like have, what is it called? Have logical narration, have all sorts of things. It's got to feel good for the player. All right. Narrative. September saw the narrative team prepping for a performance capture session. The build-up to this shoot included working closely with the design team to determine a streamlined version of FPS Wildline set. This will allow the various enemy combatants to have enough lines so they can be reactive, but without adding so many as to cause undue stress to the amount of content that would need to be captured. This shoot also included the return of several established characters for additional pickups based on changes to the location and level flow. There were some additional fun bits that were captured, but unfortunately, they had to be kept under wraps. Narrative team. Narrative also continued working with AI content on dynamic conversation systems for background characters and began figuring out how best to incorporate it into the game. As with the wild lines, part of the discussion is figuring out a way to keep the line set to a manageable level while providing interesting conversations to make the characters in the locations feel alive. Finally, they continued the ongoing syncs with the flight and FPS design teams to review the latest level developments, creating or adjusting scripts to fill in areas that feel too empty or require additional content to explain the gameplay. There we go. They're starting to use the systems they already have in place. They have an entire mocap studio, which is going to be up and running, if not already up and running, by the time they'd written this. So I'm not surprised they brought in probably several key actors. The reason why they're not talking about it is they don't want to talk about who, because it might throw off some, like, give an idea of how much they've changed in some of these things. And let me nail this down as well. There are likely entire sections of this game which will change from now until release. I'm going to reiterate that. There are likely entire sections, possibly entire story arcs, which are going to be completely changed or removed before this game is released. That's just the nature of game development. It happens all the time, and just what it is. And sometimes they'll add more stuff because they need to have an interstitial, like a connecting bridge between two story arcs. Whatever. That's what what they need to do. They'll do that. So one of the reasons why it's difficult to pin down when Squadron 42 is released, because they've got to add they got to figure out how the game flows as a story and as a game before they can really decide if it's what they need to do. So yeah, sorry if I leaked Mark Hamill, but yeah, Mark Hamill, for instance, or John Rhys Davies, or all those folks probably came in and redid some lines, redid some positioning, those sorts of stuff, which based off of what the change is. But they don't want to let that known because they don't want to have to figure that out, or they don't have to explain that something changed, people lose their minds, that kind of thing. So, all right, tech animation. September saw tech animation progress with face scanning initiative mentioned in last month's report, which aims to add more heads to the game's gene pool. The initial scan session saw an extra 20 female heads scanned, which are currently being processed by the art teams. Tech animation will then rig and implement the assets into the game. Alongside this, the team explored and refined their methods for implementing geometry caches into the game and Maya's deformation technology. We have some exciting developments with some of our elements in-game that will take them to the next level of visual fidelity, tech animation. Tech animation also assisted in the creation and implementation of new enemy types that are being worked on by other feature teams. We've talked about the different things you can do to AI in terms of their behavior, but you can also make completely different enemy types, like different, shotgun wielders, rocket launchers, but they don't have to be specific. Like they can wear specific uniforms or whatever. So UI. The UI team undertook a significant code push on the star map and radar to get many of the separate elements pulled together. As part of this, they added new tech to allow them to create and interact with holo volumes, which will help to get the new version of the radar onto ships. They also fixed any unexpected glitches along the way and improved the visuals. The art team continued to concept various parts of Squadron 42's specific UI. This involved finalizing the look and content of the new MFDs, designing gameplay screens for levels, and completing vehicle-style guides. VFX. Alongside onboarding several new starters, I'm guessing like new folks, the VFX team continued to support the art design and cinematic teams with environmental effects and destruction sequences. Finally, work began on a slight overhaul of the particle libraries to make them easier to maintain as the team spreads across the many varied locations. We'll see you next month in transmission. All right, so what did we learn today, Jared? What was up this month? All right, so we've got more work done on the star map, more work done on the radar, UI stuff. We also see more customization. We're seeing additional wild lines and redos of some character shoots, dynamic conversations, syncing with flight and FPS teams. So you can see some where you go from social to flight to FPS, or from FPS to social to flight, or flight to FPS to social to flight, to those sorts of transitions between different aspects of the game. Much more level design, a push to get everything done. FPS scanning and a crane. Cranes. More wild lines. Mess hall stuff. Food. Vanduul are brutal in melee. And more kind of being able to target, AI being able to target vessels or vehicles while on foot, and AI in vehicles being able to target on foot players and other characters. So a lot of work is being done on some more AI stuff, some more behavioral stuff, and slight polishes on certain aspects of the game. So very, very interesting additions. Now, as always, I want to hear your thoughts on this monthly report down below. Maybe you want to talk about the 2 years thing that's been floating around. Just keep the conversation going. What do you do? Did you like this? Do you find these useful and helpful? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, remember, as I always say, hope to see you someday in the black. All right. Sorry about that. Penguin and Buster, thank you for the raids. I was super going over the Squadron 42 monthly report, which I record for YouTube. So how y'all doing? Someone's tired. Who's the someone? Of course I'm tired. I was up for 24 hours on Sunday. I still haven't recovered. I've researched a bit and the info found points that are related to scanning. It measures distances. It sends array for whatever it touches and returns distance, basically a longer range scanning. They were talking about 10 km to 200 km entire planet scanning. Okay, yeah. Nah, I'm gonna stay up and hang out a little bit longer. We've only been doing it for 2 hours. I'll be going for a little bit longer. Let me put it this way: if I ended right now, if I said, "Hey, I'm going to bed. Good night," I wouldn't go to bed because I'm tired, not sleepy. I'd probably just go down and paint more minis, and I'd probably forget a lot of the time and go to bed at midnight. So I'll stay up for a little bit longer, anyways. We raised more than enough money, by the way, for Badger's Perseus this morning. Badger's Perseus? Weekling, it's 5:15 here. PM or AM, Crystal? Badger's Gaming, I think his full name is. Nice, nice. Good to hear that. Your chat name's Perseus. Drinking with gaming problems. Thank you. His nickname is Badgers, but he's called Drinking with Gaming Problems. Ray word world intersections allows you to detect distance to specific objects, surface types, normal, ground, and more. Maximum draw distance is whatever the world size is. So the code theoretically allows you to scan something from one side of the system to another. It could lead to many stuff. Okay, that's cool here. AstroPub, hey Paul, are you up for more New World with Burke and Katie and Smashley and a bunch more? Yeah, probably. What time and when? Not this weekend, because this weekend is Dark Tide, baby. You will be finding me in the underhive of some 40K nonsense. But yes. Hey, Fist, how you doing? Goomba, Lefty, Black Eagle Ops, how y'all doing? Nice. I may drag you in there. I'm going to be playing with Loken and probably a couple other people, but I'll be playing for the next 3 days. That's what I'm going to be streaming almost exclusively. We'll be doing some Captain's Table, obviously, on Saturday, but tomorrow I am almost exclusively playing Dark Tide. Yeah, I'm down for coffee. I haven't played in months, but yeah. Welcome, everybody. Manual stole Citizen's Raid. Yeah, because they took away raid hosting, didn't they? So you have to either raid or whatever. How you doing? I've played the 40K mobile game Tacticus. I hate mobile games in general, but I haven't. No. Which is sad because I think there's great possibilities for mobile games, for the unique nature of mobile games, that I think most people have just slipped into online and loot boxes. like for instance, I honestly think a great idea for a mobile game is a tactics game similar to like Advanced Wars, where you move units over certain spaces and have timers. And then, dice rolls, and then, manage cities and stuff like that, or manage small units, or typical turn-based RPGs or turn-based strategy games. Those would work fairly well or even like survival strategy games, those sort of things. The problem is that you have those, but they're all online. They're all always online, and they're MMO style stuff, which it doesn't make any sense. You want something that's high stress but low stress. High stress in terms of decision making, but low stress in terms of time decision making. And you can just turn them off and go walk away, and then turn them back on when you're ready to go. How you doing there, Grim? Welcome from everyone from Soul Citizens as well. There's nothing wrong with inherently wrong with microtransactions. The problem is if you stuff microtransactions in just to make as much money as humanly possible, it can be a problem. If microtransactions are a way to support the developer in a way that kind of accentuates the experience, not becomes mandatory, then it's not so bad. But most of them aren't like that because fuck that, make as much money as possible. That's the whole goal. Hey, Star Jump. Good to see all of y'all here. Everyone's hanging out now. I've heard that a lot of pay to win stuff like that. I don't actually think microtransactions are bad. Pay to win microtransactions are bad on single player games. It's just DLC is what it is. An example of this is not just cosmetics, but like customization options or expansions. So there's a game that I picked up for mobile that the only game I've actually played extensively for mobile, which is called, it's like arcade football or something like that. It's effectively a slimmed down version of the old like Madden games and stuff like that, and before Madden. And you, it's part manager, so you're managing your team. You're buying and selling teams. You're managing your equipment. You're leveling up your various like players and getting them all specced out for different roles, which is a pretty interesting and engaging kind of concept. And then you actually play games where you have to like physically like throw the ball for like throws or handoffs, and you can move. The characters will move on their own, but you can like have them do dodges by doing different little tactics. It's a tight little game that works really well. It's completely free and has a premium mode that unlocks things like kickoffs and receiving and that sort of thing. So it adds a little bit more extra to the game. It's not really necessary, but it gives you a little bit more to play with if you enjoy it. Plus other small little perks about various changes to the game that you can do to improve the experience. But you don't need it. You can still enjoy the game without it. And the key is that the longer it's an infinite. You can play it forever. There is no end state. You just keep playing it, which is great. That's a great example of doing it. That's probably the only game that I've seen to do that thing really, really well, where you have like a game section that you're really engaged with in doing it, and then you have a management section afterwards. That's typical mobile stuff. The problem is that most of the game sections for those mobile things are garbage, like tower defense. It's like, God damn it, you know. It's bad design crutch to require them acquire item mall. If they designed it right, it wouldn't need people, but people would want it. The thing is that this is the thing that's going to sound being pedantic. Games cost money to make because people who are designing and building and coding this, they also need to eat food. They need to have medical insurance. They need to buy clothing. They have requirements to live like everybody else. So they need to be paid. Companies need to make money. Free. There's no such thing as free. You're gonna have to pay something along the way. So I think a lot of complaints about stuff like microtransactions and stuff like that has to do more with people being stingy fucks rather than the legitimate complaints of things like gambling addictions and other predatory practices. But there are ways, if you're careful, that you could improve upon that. It's just most people don't care because they just want to make money and move on. Need is a stretch for food. It really, what I've read, mobile game devs get a much smaller cut from the sales. It depends on the company. It really depends on the company that's making it and their contracts and such. What do you think the Argo MCV, and have you heard of the variant that is medical Pisces? Yes, I've seen all the leaks for it, for the stuff. The Drake Cutter. Did you pay in Whammers? I'm sure compared to PC games. I just think there's a balance that can be struck. And I think with everyone having mobile computers on them that are getting powerful every generation, there's still, I think most people have moved on from mobile games. Most people like us just don't play them. I think there's a way that you could incorporate the uniqueness of a phone into a gameplay experience. When do you have your phone? Why are you using your phone? How can you integrate those sorts of actions into a gameplay experience that can be fun? When consoles first came out, they weren't computers. You had to build, and they weren't arcade machines. You needed to build some completely different experience for them and harness what a console can do and how to interact with it. Same with VR systems. VR games are completely, fundamentally different from every other experience because they have to be incorporating with the virtual reality. You can bolt on VR to a normal game and have some accentuate the experience, but it's never going to be a VR game. And I still don't think people have fully utilized what you can do with a phone for phone games. And I think if as things become cheaper and easier to manage, we're going to start seeing more indie games come up on phones. Oh, the pipeline stuff. They have a bunch of that stuff. Drak, D-R-A-K, is the abbreviation for Drake, because they only use four-letter variations. A-N-V-L is Anvil. C-N-O-U is Consolidated Outland. RSI is obviously 3. So maximum abbreviation is 4. AGIS, yeah, I think that's the case as well. They don't go Aegis. And vice versa. Can you play Alex without VR? You can, but it's not the same experience, you know? C-R-O-U or C-R-U, I think it is. I think it's Crew, C-R-U, what it is. Yeah, Alex in non-VR feels like a mediocre game. It's very much is a VR game. Argo, yeah. And to bring this back to Star Citizen, for instance, will never be a VR game. It can support VR, but it'll never be a VR game. Because it would require a fundamental change to how Star Citizen plays to allow it to be a VR game. And that just won't happen. It's not simple enough to allow that to happen. We don't know about Gatak because Gatak hasn't been input in the game yet. It's not in the files. And I'm sure it's GATC or GTAC would be it. Yeah, VR for first ship. It's probably GTAC, Gatak. Or GATC, Gatak. Gatak. Let me get that Gatak ship. The Gatak Rylan. Looks like a sweet ship. The Gatak Rylan. I also enjoy the Apoa. The Apoa Cartuale. Cartuale. I have to say I'm extremely happy with the IA. Are my colors this year red and black? Yeah. Sherry's gonna stab me. I can almost guarantee you that VR will be implemented in some way in Star Citizen, but it'll never be a VR game. And if CIG really wants to implement VR properly, they're going to have to go back to basics to rebuild the engine, rebuild the game from scratch to support it, which isn't not impossible. Just depends on how long it takes for them to get a 1.0 product done for Star Citizen. 5-10 years. Cue the Bodyguard soundtrack as we all dive in front of you to take the bullet from Sherry. I'm not singing that. I'm not Whitney. Elite Dangerous has all but terminated their VR development. Yeah. Question, have they officially said if the Phoenix will be considered a luxury transport when the gameplay comes in? No idea, probably. They haven't officially said anything about anything, really. When it comes to just about any final word. Everything is fluid and can change on a dime. It's most likely going to be a luxury transport, though, because it's a luxury ship that has transport capabilities. Measures of lives listing as a luxury touring. Yeah. Yep, War Thunder is a lot of fun in VR as well. Yeah. That came up recently because they were talking to somebody or something, some group. Aaron Roberts mentioned in South Korea that was a VR company or something. I don't remember. A bunch of people got in a hoopla about it. Anything can change, so there's a chance CIG won't get rid of the ability of solo multi-crew ships even if it's inefficient. And I could become the CEO of CIG tomorrow. It's not impossible. It's just highly unlikely. Can't wait till we can automate the remote turret on the Corsair. I can't wait till someone uses the remote turret on my Corsair. Because they're going to be a lot more efficient than an automation. Sorry, this is off topic, but what do you think about the alien mining ship like a Banu or something? Sure, it's going to happen at some point. Either Xi'an or Banu. I don't think we'll see a Tavaran mining ship. We'll probably see some more Tavaran combat ships before we see anything else. It'd be much more likely to see more mercantile ships like salvage or mining ship from, say, like the Banu. Or even construction ships from the Banu. and more mercantile or more utility ships from the Xi'an. There's going to be startup sequences, Robert. So it's important to remember that every ship is going to have a startup sequence. And the larger the ship is, the more remote that startup sequence is going to be. So if you have a large ship that's a multi-crew ship, you may have to go back to the engine core and switch on switches to start up the engine core properly before you get started, and then go back to the cockpit and change some things around as well. So the startup sequence for every ship is going to be more difficult depending on the size of the ship. I have not seen the startup sequence for Steel Battalion, but they've showed off some of the concepts they had ideas for startup sequences in the past. Dan Truffen did, which is like injecting fuel into a certain location, into certain areas, having battery backups, those sorts of things. Could we see every non-combat class of ship and various alien ships sold or non-sold? I'm sure we could. The question is more, can they do it, and in what time they will release it? It's 2952. Startup sequences should all be possible from the cockpit. It's 2952. You shouldn't be flying around in a starfighter. Stop using that excuse. It's a shitty excuse. They're definitely going to make you get out of your seat and go through a startup sequence. I just want to be able to solo my Caterpillar, but it looks like you won't be able to do that one day. I currently use my Caterpillar to run cargo. Gonna suck when you can't run a cargo and solo on a cat anymore. No, but you can still run cargo solo with a Hull C. I think it's still a one-person ship. I think a Hull C or Hull B still can be used by one person. So, fairly random question, but do you know if I purchase the BIS ships at IAE, it's going to likely get a BIS skin as long as you have it throughout IAE and after IAE, because they give out the BIS skin at the end of IAE. IAE. Even Scotty had to warm up the warp drive in Star Trek. Yep. Yeah, 2952 dogfighting via line of sight doesn't make it so much easier. Yeah, that's the point. It's like, it's already, the basis of Star Citizen doesn't make logical sense in terms of even modern combat, let alone futuristic combat. It's a universe unto itself. It's going to be a different, it has a different approaches to things, so. They're definitely going to add in some more realism factors, and they want to make the game more immersive and complicated and dangerous. They want to mimic the experience of traveling in space and the dangers it has and the wonder it can experience as much as they can. But they're not Kerbal Space Program. The Avenger has ailerons like modern fighters, but they aren't used yet. They actually are working on the control surfaces. That is something they want to do, to give more control surfaces to ships with more control, like wings and stuff like that. Did you post a random link in my chat there, Aeon Flux? Oh, it's a Steel Battalion stripe. Okay. I don't know if Kerbal would be fun with combat. Seriously, when do we get defrost and windshield wiper tech? That's the $1 billion stretch goal. I am interested in seeing how Kerbal 2 is going to use multiplayer, because they've talked about that in the past. They want to do multiplayer to Kerbal 2. Be interesting to do. Does the Spirit have ailerons and other control surfaces beyond maneuvering thrusters? I don't know. Someone asked me my thoughts on the Spirit. It's okay. It's probably the most blundered release that CIG has ever done of a concept ship. I have no fucking idea what that ship is, because it changes every other day because they fuck up something and then they change it. So like they first put, like, was it 48 SCU on every one of the ships, which makes no fucking sense. So they changed that, and then they increased the size in the last change. So it's actually longer now than it was supposed to be. It's like, who the fuck, what the fuck happened? Was someone out? Was the person who does these things, like, on vacation when you tried to write this? Is it a brand new person that came in and did that? Maybe don't do that for fucking Citcon? Yeah, we don't have any idea. We don't have any idea what the Spirit actually is. We know its general function and its general size, but guns, components, all of that is up in the air. No fucking idea if it's going to stick or not. Rushed. It was definitely rushed. I said someone fucked up their job real bad this time, and my org mate told me not to rant because I didn't know what happened. But as someone who has put together press material before large organizations, someone just fucked didn't answer an email in time. There's something went wrong. Something went terribly wrong behind the scenes for that. We know the spirit of the concept. Fuck you, P-Gill. And people said they didn't do it on purpose. CIG didn't do it on purpose. Hey, Zero State. We're talking about CIG purposely fucking up the spirit concept to take all your money. Also, Chris Roberts is in your house right now, stealing all your wallet, and shooting your dog. So, sorry. Thank you for that shout out to Zero State. How y'all doing? This is all true. Given CIG's dislike of being wrong and their fear of memes, there's no way this is intentional. No. Beyond that, Dakota, it's resize and the fact that we still don't have concrete idea of the weapons differences, and the fact that they screwed up the cargo, like they copied and pasted the SCU cargo for the C1, the A1, and the E1. So it's the C1 just to put it the E1 and the A1. Have a good night there, Zero. Thank you. Welcome, everyone, from Zero Straight Stream. My name is Paul. This is the office hours. We just kind of hang out and talk about Star Citizen and lore and stuff like that for a couple of hours on Thursday. So you feel free to join us. Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. We go for usually 2 to 4 hours. I try to hit around the 3-hour mark, and we're getting up to that. So we just went through and read all of the Squadron 42 monthly reports. We went through a lot of the videos from CitizenCon. We do those sorts of things. And we just hang out and talk about Star Citizen with a AMA format. So if you have questions, let me know. Any Glacier lore? There is a lot of Glacier lore, actually. Let me look it up. Fleischer Rehabilitation Facilities is a private corrections provider that provides safe and secure rehabilitation facilities for local planets. It's fully automated correctional sites, including housing, security, and work release opportunities to allow prisoners to be productive while paying their debt to society. Fleischer's first rehabilitation facility opened in the year 2913. And right now, all we know about it is they're Aberdeen. We also know that it was specifically created. The merit system is, and the trading of merits is actually something that the prisoners discovered they could do. They hacked the system, but it also increased the output of Fleischer's work, their prison labor work, by like 200% when people could trade their merits. So they didn't actually fix it's actually a bug that they turned into a feature. So. Oh yeah, true, fair. I mean, I was not expecting the E1 to have regular cargo, just passengers. Yeah. Will Morph get mad if the A1 bombs him? God, that meme is so fucking old. So, in fact, Fleischer's not supposed to have anyone there. You see guards walking around now, but in the future, those all you'll have is those automated turrets, which are currently in there, but they just don't work, which will be protecting it. It'll be completely automated. There will be no guards. Embassies won't have a job. That's what will happen to them, yeah. Jared, I will say Jared is much more flexible. He understands that his job is what his job is and fully understands the concept of memes. I would dare say that Jared himself is a bit of a meme lord. Shocking, I know. Call him Space Dad. That's okay, Kasumi. He could be Space Dad. Because I'm Space Daddy. Star Papa. I like that. I love it when you call me Star Papa. Yes, he is. Space Jesus is Brian Chambers. No more ASMR. Did you ask your mother, Matterhorn? Do you think New Lorville will be drivable roads in the city? I had to look around, and it appears to have roads and stoplights in the picture. Probably not. I think they're setting it up to possibly expand it in the future, but I don't think we're going to see huge roads or anything like that. I do think we're going to see multiple livable spaces, though. I don't think we're just going to have the one central location based off what they saw. Yeah, Brian's such a nice guy. I've met him multiple times. He's a great dude. She said talk to you. We'll talk to her. We're definitely going to have roads eventually. The problem is that we also don't know how roads are going to function in game yet. So I don't think they'd implement any city with roads until they had roads functioning outside of cities. Yes. Insert Back to the Future quote about roads. I'm a little pissed because I actually have to work tomorrow. And at like 8 o'clock in the morning is when Dark Tide's coming out. It's like, God, the beta is at least. It's like, ugh. So I will be playing Dark Tide tomorrow and Saturday before Citcon, before, God, no. Thank God, no. Before Captain's Table. And then on Sunday, we'll be playing more Dark Tide. So it's going to be all Dark Tide this weekend with some Star Citizen in between. So if you want to know a little bit more about the co-op shooter, if you're a fan of 40K like myself, if you liked Vermintide and you want to see a sci-fi version of Vermintide, come check it out. I mean, what's the purpose of roads with Steve and the UTV? They're for bigger vehicles, not for Steve and the UTV, the PTV. Oh, it's okay. I'll be thinking of you while playing Dark Tide and laughing my ass off. Fuck you there, X. Chaos Qual question. Have you seen the votes for the next mining ship? Percentage of each ship hasn't changed much. We've had 500 votes. We are now at 25K. And the Argo is 33%, Mystics is 23%, RSI is 44%. People are calling it rigged like they did when the vehicle won. What do you think? I wouldn't put it past CIG. I really wouldn't. But I don't necessarily think that's the case. It's probably just not showing up on the screen properly. Whenever my parent asked me to ask the other one, they said about the quest, I would say something effective. They said muffled words about positive and agreeing infections. So it's cool, right? Yeah. There for the refuel trucks. Speaking of which, did y'all take a peep at gas cap on Steve? I did not. I did not see the gas cap on Steve. Paven will probably give you a bonus control and fuel economy. Yeah. I'll do that right now while we're talking. Give me a moment. It's probably not necessarily a gas cap. It's probably just a cap for charging stations. Probably not fuel, because fuel is, you won't really have an internal combustion engine in space. They're talking about adding fuel. All the ground vehicles will use some sort of resource to function. Fuel, power, something like along the lines. My Steve runs on AstroPub's tears. Spasm, I love you. Thank you, Suf. Okay, thank you. There we go. Downloading now. We all know how much you love your Redeemer shall fuel our... how much the love of your Redeemer shall fuel our STV. Fucking hate CIG for that. I can see Paul standing there fueling up his Steve. Did you go to the bathroom, chat? Go now while we've stopped. Yes, and get the snacks. We now have Wi-Fi power, which has been around since the 1920s. Yeah. It prevented you from CCUing the Redeemer. I can't CCU it. I can't melt it. I can't give it away. And it's LTI, so it's stuck there. I can never remove it from my account. I can't even play the game when insurance is introduced and just let it default and like disappear it. It's always there, staring at me. I'm not even gonna let you salvage it out of principle. I'm just gonna blow it up and throw it into a sun. Life is temporal, but the Redeemer, not Reclaimer. It sucks. The Redeemer sucks. It sucks. It's garbage and it's terrible. Yeah, I can't even gift it. I can't CCU it. The 600i has something that the Redeemer doesn't have, or will have. It has something that the Redeemer doesn't have: a medical bed, and style, and class. If those of you don't know, CIG has been forever threatening to give a permanent LTI, ungiftable, unmeltable, unredeemable, like unupgradable Redeemer to my account. And they did it. They fucking did it. If you're hearing weird music, if it's like going, whoa, whoa, it's not me, it's Twitch's encoding. So you have to clear your cache. It's an issue with Twitch that happens to me regularly on Twitch as well. No, I'm not doing that. I like my account. Oh, they are. They definitely are. That just shows you how good the social media team and the community manager and the community, like the people who are facing the community are. They fucking listen to us enough to the point where they can troll us. Just sue for giving you a Redeemer. I don't want to spend money on dealing with the garbage can that's in front of my. It's stuck to my account. All right, so I will clap back at Elliot. Elliot, look into my eyes. Look deep into my eyes. They're sexy, right? Also, or son, or son, Orison, visit Orison, the city in the clouds. I know you've heard that ad as many fucking times as I have. Stop calling it Orison. It's Orison. You all know what I'm talking about. You've heard that ad 4,000 times in game. You can say it by rote memory by now. I'm seriously considering upgrading my LTI Nox to an A1 or a Vulture. What do you think? Not a bad idea. You're not going to use your Nox for anything. That's the hover bike, right? It's not Orison, it's Orison. Orison, the city in the clouds. Orlon? No, that would be cooler though. It's not Orison, it's Orison. Like, it would be okay if it was like an Aegis thing, you know? Like, people didn't really know how it was said. Different developers said something different, but they pronounce it in the game. Multiple characters call it Orison. Multiple characters in game with British fucking accents. Like, Elliot could probably make it pronounce it differently in patch. Tomato, tomato. Where does CIG or CR stand with Orison pronunciation? He says, yeah, he says Horizon as well. Yes. The thing is, if that's the case, then they should call it Orison in game. They don't. It would be like calling Kiev. No one calls it Kiev unless you're Russian. Everyone else calls it Kiev because that's what the fucking Ukrainians call it. It's Kiev. Yeah, but the people in Ukraine, the Ukrainians call it as Kiev. Like, you don't say New York, New York. You don't say no one calls California Califas, which is the original name. No one calls the Oregon. No one calls Oregon in Oregon. They call it Oregon. Yeah, Illinois, not Illinoisis. Missouri versus Missouri. But that's the thing. It's like, you generally speaking call things the way they call them where they are. And if the people who live in Orison call it Orison, then it's fucking Orison. Nolans, yeah. Yeah, but everyone who uses GIF calls it GIFs. The creator calls it a GIF because he's an idiot. I call this misery. Listen, you know how many times people have screamed at me when I said Aegis or said Aegis? I say Aegis, and everyone was like, it's not Aegis, it's Aegis. It's like, that's Aegis. It's just how it's spelled, how it's pronounced. All right, just preview. I didn't realize that the second planet in the Redder system is Persei, so I called it Percy. I don't care. It's Percy now. Why? Because I said so. If that's the logic we're using with Orison and Horizon, it's Percy now. Fuck you. Are we going to be talking about any of the leaked ships here? I mean, we've talked a little bit about them. I mean, the thing is they're not really leaks as much as they are pulls from the code of the Evocati branch, which I guess is technically a leak. We'd have almost no idea other than a brief description and some names. And Calliope. Side-eye is the proper way to say Germany and Japan and dozens of other places because linguistics is a fucking nightmare. That's a little different. Like Nippon and what is Germany? Germans can help me with this one. Deutschland, right? That's those make sense in their language. It's just it's a translation thing. That's just a translation issue. It's like, for instance, what is the Spanish word for the United States? Los Estados Unidos, or the EEU, because Estados Unidos. So, like, you would say EEU as it would be like the abbreviation in Spanish is EUU, but in the U.S. it's USA. That makes sense. Or Norte America. Yeah. America del Norte. Del Norte. Yeah. Also notice something, son. Ben Curtis says yo a lot when he speaks. Lots of people have different. Someone has pointed out to me, which is the first time it's happened, which is nice, in my Astro Historian videos, that I say however a lot in my Astro Historian videos, and I realized I did that very early on. That it was something I was used, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to start using it a lot more not like all the time, but in every video. So you'll notice every single Astro Historian video I've done, I have said, however, as a interstitial, as an interlude. And someone finally said, you say however a lot. And I go, I know, it's intentional. We don't like calling USA as America because we either consider ourselves American too, cultural stuff. Yeah, exactly. That's the other point. Stuff you do. Someone finally commented on it a while back and like it's intentional. I intentionally do it. However, nobody cares. I care. It's Orison, goddammit. Words matter. as the name up. It's fully loaded. Awesome. As Ray says all the time, words matter. And if Ray's right about that, then damn it, I'm going to be right about this too. State of misery. Oh, the Missouri. Fuck you, Omega. I don't believe anything that hypocrite AstroPub says, because he said he hated the Redeemer and that it's a dumpster you fired, yet he still has one. You know what I'd like to see in your videos? More of the words monosodium glutamate. Good luck with that. No. We're getting ads. So we'll probably wrap it up again. I forgot to hit the ads thing. Yeah, it's just it's a matter of, it's going to happen now. If I don't run ads, then they run further. So like if I run ads, you get 2 to 3 ads, about a minute and a minute 30 seconds. But if I don't run ads, you get 9 ads, because that's how Twitch works. Now Execute's here. Decided to stop hiding behind your Inforunner's tag. But let me know if you, stop talking to yourself, X. It's creepy. Sock puppet account, sock puppet accounts. As I was saying, for those of you who are in ads, if I don't run an ad for a minute and a half every so often, then the damn thing will run like 9 ads. So I just got to keep doing it more frequently. My option is either run ads or get pre-roll ads, which are like 12 ads to run pre-roll. I actually don't think I even have an option to run ads anymore. I have to. Yeah, YouTube is much better than Twitch is for that. I will say YouTube, or the Twitch, the one thing I will say is that Twitch has gone a lot better with ad share. Like, I get a lot better ad share than I used to. Like right now, my ad share is... Because if they have this incentive thing where if you run a certain number of ads a month, if you stream a certain number of hours, they give you a bonus for running ads, for running those types of ads. And I'm currently looking at... about $252 this month. Now, a lot of that has to do with that I did a fucking 24-hour stream, and that had ads running throughout it, so... but plus, you know... But last period, I ran normal, I still had $100 in ads. Not as good as YouTube, where, like, streaming or producing less content with less time still got me, like, $300 in ads, so ad revenue. Plus other revenue as well, but... It's better than it used to be. Vid performance is better. YouTube, the streaming performance is better, higher quality. The ads aren't as they aren't as disturbing. Twitch has become more ad heavy because Twitch needs to make money, otherwise it's going to get hacked. Like they're under pressure to do that. hacked as an ads. They're getting axed. They're getting absolutely beaten by Amazon to start making the money. Yeah, YouTube needs better chat UI and it needs better discoverability for streams. It has good discoverability for videos, generally speaking, but it has terrible discoverability for streams. There's no streaming landing page. There's no way of alerting people that you are streaming. Lots of stuff like that. TikTok ads may be better, but the thing is that TikTok pays absolute garbage to its creators. Like, someone could have 15 times the following and views that I do on YouTube, on TikTok, and make a quarter of what I make on YouTube. And I don't make shit on YouTube. Last month, I made about $300 on the AstroPub Live and about $300 in the Astro Historian. So about $600 total for the entire month for ad revenue, including sub revenue or membership revenue. So they absolutely dick over creators on TikTok. Absolutely dick over creators on TikTok. You make no money off of them. And honestly, I think TikTok is also a dying platform. It's already reached its peak and is going down. If they don't innovate and change, they're going to be subsumed by the next social media wave, whatever that is. Because like already YouTube is starting to catch up to Twitch and TikTok at the same time. No, you don't get a direct revenue share, Kavion. They have what they call the creator fund. So there's a certain pool of money that's given out to all of the creators on TikTok. And the more creators that unlock monetization, the smaller and smaller that pool will be. So let's just say it's $30 million. Well, that means each creator is going to get a piece of that $30 million as they unlock their monetization. And as the site grows, that $30 million shrinks and shrinks and shrinks, and they don't add more money to that $30 million. So eventually everyone's making a penny, but TikTok doesn't have to spend an additional dime more, a penny more than they actually have to. No, I was replying to Fry, Kavion. Are you talking about? Twitch is also dying. Oh, Twitch is on its way out. This whole entire platform will probably be a shadow or a shell of itself in another 2 years. It's at this point it's going off of goodwill and the fact that there's literally nobody else who's challenging them for their supremacy. But that's going to change soon. Yeah, TikTok can skip over any ad, it's just fine, but it makes it difficult to advertise for them. So, little shop talk there, but I'm getting tired. I've been streaming for 3 hours. Thank you for watching us. Thank you for hanging out. I'm gonna have to pull this down from from Twitch and upload it to YouTube for those who are watching this on YouTube afterwards. Sorry about not being able to stream it to YouTube. There was just a technical issue. So it'll still be up there, ready for y'all to do. It'll be the normal YouTube thing. You'll be able to see it right away. Thank you all again for watching. Make sure that you are following us on Twitch. Subscribe to us on YouTube at youtube.com/TheAstroPub Live and youtube.com/TheAstroHistorian for those things. Make sure you check those out. I also probably should have a handle for the AstroPub channel. We'll see. But yeah. And yeah, I'll be back tomorrow for some Dark Tide with hanging out with some friends and doing some Dark Tide. So if you want to come in and watch, my numbers are going to get absolutely smashed. I'll probably get literally nobody watching me. But those of you who are hardcore fans and want to come watch me, it'll be at 9 p.m. Eastern will be when I start. I'll probably be playing a little bit earlier, probably the second I get home, but I'll probably won't start the stream until about then. So make sure you're checking out Loken Plays and the, I don't know if Inforunners will be streaming it as well, but definitely Loken Plays will be streaming it well before I do. Check them out. And yeah, like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black. Oh, videos. There'll be a new lore video on Saturday, and there'll be another video on next Saturday as well. We'll see about Wednesdays. I might try to move it down to like 1 video a week, but we'll see, maybe 2. I took a break and done pretty well. So yeah, see y'all in the black later. All right. We're going to send a raid over to somebody else. Oh, Galacticas. Okay. Okay. We're going to go raid Galactica. She's the community manager for Star Citizen. Ask her if she likes breakfast tacos. Later, y'all.